The agenda, or are you the agenda? It's me, huh? Okay. All right. Agenda. So here's what we're going to cover today, because you're heading into, or you're already well in the middle of your senior year. So what we're going to talk to you about is a little bit about the process for helping you transition after graduation. We're also going to talk about support that we'll give to you for returning home and support for internship and employment and other applications that you're looking to be doing when you've graduated, as well as tips for securing a great internship, employment, etc., like you've heard in previous years. Information on SheCan's Make a Change program, which, if, and there's a big if in all of this about whether or not travel is available or something you can do easily with the given travel restrictions in the US. But assuming travel is able to happen, you can, as a graduating senior, apply for a Make a Change program if you're interested. Um, and we did a summer in the US program. We'll get a little bit into that. We may be doing that again next summer. And if we do, some seniors participated last summer, that could happen again this summer. And then next steps and questions. So we're going to start first with, like, what does it mean to be a SheCan graduate? And we've actually changed this a little bit in the few years, and probably since it's different since when you started till now, because we did some thinking about what we really want to build in our program and what we're going to be focusing on over the next 3 years. And we did this about a year ago. And we decided that we really wanted to focus on making bridges and things for you when you graduate so that it's easier to return home and start careers, etc. So part of that is what I wanted to say here, is that for SheCan grads, it's really like a lifelong community here at SheCan. And what we want you to know is that, we're a big, expanding global network, and that you're a part of it now, but we consider you to be part of it always. Like, you belong at SheCan, whether you're in the program in undergraduate school or beyond that. And really, the network is a big network. So that includes, like, your SheCan sisters and graduates and mentors present, and those who are mentor graduates as well as volunteers and donors. But it also includes, here in the US and in your countries, NGOs, government agencies, for-profit companies in the US and at home, educational institutions, as well as your own college and other colleges in the US, and of course, all of our staff. So we want you to keep in touch with us because you are a big part of who we are. And post-graduation, we want you to lean on us to keep in touch, maybe help your other SheCan sisters, and tap into the community as well. Speaking of SheCan sisters, they really are a powerful network. And as you all belong and are lifelong parts of SheCan, I would, tap into that network as well. Use them as, a resource for getting help, making connections, just having someone to lean on, maybe paying it forward for the younger SheCan scholars coming up, and really just a place to belong. And as you're going on through your career and whatever is happening in your life, keep in touch with us. We want to keep in touch with you. We want to hear about you. And so we hope that you continue to communicate and be a part of this community with us all along your journey after college.
I can add on that note, Dine, as well, that you all receive a monthly newsletter as a scholar that we just introduced last year. And when you graduate in the summer, in the early summer, we will transition you off that newsletter since it's more kind of month-to-month information for current scholars, but you will receive the SheCan General newsletter to keep you up to date with what we're doing as well. So hopefully that will be a reminder to keep in touch with us as well. Okay, and I guess this is me. Hi, everyone. This is a great turnout. It's great to see all of your names and hear your voices online. Some of you, I think I've only had a chance to email with. So I'm Kat Stecker. I'm the program director at SheCan since April of last year. I know we've emailed, but again, I don't know that we've spoken to all of you. So as Diane said, in this session, we were going to talk about the support that we provide to you at home and in the US. And I'm going to start with the support that we provide at home. So we have an initiative that's part of the strategic plan that Diane mentioned that's called the Yes, She Can initiative. And This initiative is really thinking about how we can support our seniors and grads as they transition to the next stage, whether that's continued education or employment, making impact in either way and continuing your journey as a leader. So yes, she can includes a number of different tactics that we have, or different supports that we're going to provide. Some of them are existing and some of them are being created kind of as we speak, with the idea of implementing it all this coming summer, in stages. As you probably know, we don't have any graduates yet back in Liberia. We do have a number in Cambodia. So based on how that's developing, we're rolling this program out in both countries. And I hope it'll be really key and useful to you as you consider returning home and taking advantage of some of these supports. So one of the things is creating that graduate network. As I mentioned, in Cambodia, we have a pretty decent number. I think it's about 10 grads that are in Cambodia. And so we're working with them. We're going to be getting together with them when we're in country in December to do recruitment. And we're starting to build that network. The She Can Collective is what we're calling it. So next summer, with a new graduating class, we're going to kind of more formally pilot this and start connecting those people with employment opportunities, career development opportunities, leadership training, etc. The other thing that has been a longstanding support from She Can is that we pay for your return flight, obviously. So anytime after graduation, within that first year, when you're planning to return home, please let us know about 6 months in advance so that 6 weeks in advance so that we know we can book a decent flight with a date that you like. We are also providing a transition checklist, which is something that we'll also be sharing with your mentors so that they can help you walk through it. The transition checklist is meant to help you transition from both being a student to being in the professional world, and from being in the US to being home in your home country. It's relevant for people who are still planning to do OPT in the US, but it talks a lot about what you can do to get ready to enter the professional world. As I mentioned, we'll be doing specific concrete connections to all the professional development, career counseling, and leadership training at home in your respective countries. We'll be piloting that in Cambodia this coming summer. And as Liberian junior or Liberian seniors and graduates start to go back to Liberia, we'll also be implementing it there. We also have our regular internship and employment workshops, which will be run in the spring. All She Can scholars are invited to those, and I definitely encourage you to take advantage of them, because those kind of skills are relevant to whatever your next steps are. You can always rely on us at She Can for letters of recommendation or resume reviews, so please do keep that in mind. We often do letters of recommendation for people for both grad schools or job interviews. The other piece that we're implementing new in this next year will be local mentorship in your home countries. So that will start in Cambodia, it'll start in Cambodia this next spring and summer, to connect our grads with local mentors so that they have a continuum of support from people who are further down the road in their professional careers and can give them advice on how to proceed. And the last piece that's still to be confirmed in terms of details is that we are planning to offer a return home stipend. So a kind of support for those that do go home if you're not yet employed, to provide funds when you first kind of arrive, and to make it a little bit easier to be at home while you're looking for work. So those are all the different supports that we are implementing as part of the Yes She Can initiative. And we'll have more information as we roll this out, and as you make decisions about what your next steps are. Please do let us know. If we know that you're thinking of returning home to Cambodia or Liberia, we will start looking for those mentors immediately and start connecting you to the opportunities that we know in your respective countries. So that is the support for at home in your home country. And then Diane's going to speak more. Or no, I'm also sorry, speaking about support in the US. So if you're planning to stay in the US for another year, again, we have a number of things that can help you in this transition. The internship and employment workshops that I mentioned before that'll happen in the spring, those are very helpful. And then obviously staying in touch with our community, as Diane mentioned, connecting with staff and She Can organization via LinkedIn is a really good idea. I know LinkedIn isn't always as common in some of the countries that we work with. So I've heard, for example, in Liberia, LinkedIn is not necessarily a go-to platform for professional searches, but it very much is so um, in the US. So LinkedIn's really key to have an updated profile and to make connections there. One thing that I've heard is if you have at least 500 connections, you raise your visibility quite a bit on LinkedIn. So connecting to your mentors, connecting to She Can staff. You have lots of people connecting to all your She Can sisters. You have probably 20 people very easily that you could connect to. The newsletter that I mentioned before, sorry, I forgot I put in that here, but it's valid for everyone, whether you're in the US or return home. You will get a general periodic newsletter, so 3 or 4 times a year, that will just keep you updated on what's happening at SheCan. This last year, we also introduced the Scholars Google Drive that has relevant resources. I've linked to it there and we'll mention it again later. That we're going to continue to use both for current scholars, and we have a specific folder for people looking for graduate school opportunities. So we'll continue to save things like this presentation and the recording of this workshop or webinar in the G Drive. It's a really good place to find relevant resources. Again, we're also available for letters of recommendations and resume review. You'll want to work with your school or ISS office to get your OPT visa for the year that you plan to stay, and I'll speak about that in more detail later. Something else to keep in mind is if you are in the US this next year, like Myra, if you let us know where you are, especially if you're in an urban center, there's a high likelihood that we have mentors or other community members like our Power to Fly volunteers in that area. So it can be a really good way to connect with someone, even just for social purposes, not necessarily professional, but to know some people in the area. And same with other She Can sisters who might be in the area. So let us know where you are and we can let you know if there are contacts there. And the final point is just keeping the She Can return home policy in mind. I've linked to it there. So all of you are looking to graduate in the spring, I believe. And then if you're staying in the US, you'll have your OPT for a year. And if you want to stay longer in the US, if you're planning like Myra to apply for graduate school, then you should check the return home policy and plan to do the appeals process, which is fairly straightforward. It's detailed in that document, but it's essentially writing a letter to the board if She Can to explain your reasons for staying. And then it's something that the board considers. So keep that in mind if you already have the idea, for example, that you want to apply to graduate school, or if you're thinking, I'd like to get work in the US to get more practical experience before I go home. It's a pretty straightforward process and will be evaluated by the board, but it's something you want to do with time, so you're not pressed. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Dine.
Yeah, and I just wanted to talk quickly about grad school, and then we've got Myra on who might tell us a little bit more as well. But while She Can's not like helping you get into grad school, although we will write letters of recommendation and stuff, but we're not like, making commitments with the colleges and things. A lot of your She Can sisters have put together a lot of resources on that. And that's on the G Drive, and I put the longer link in here, and we will send you this deck after the call. It includes all kinds of information from previous graduates on like grant resources and application lists and notes and advice and a list of scholars who are attending graduate school, which I need to update a little bit because I think there's more. But anyway, and how to get in touch with them if you wanted to talk to any of them. So I would suggest go looking there if you need some help with that. And speaking of that, we do have Myra here, who just graduated, as I mentioned earlier. in May from Muhlenberg, and she's working now, and then she's going to grad school next year. So I'd love to like ask her a few questions, and I'm going to stop sharing the slides for just a minute while that's going on. But yeah, to find out a little bit more about your experience with all of this, Myra, tell us what you're doing right now.
Okay, by the way, I'm walking home right now.
It's okay.
Yeah, a girl gotta save some money, so I'm walking home. I didn't take Uber, but so far, like you said, I graduated in May, so I'm just like still figuring out post undergraduate life. I'm currently working part time at the Lehigh Valley Hospital, Muhlenberg, and I'm also taking prerequisite courses for graduate school. So that's exactly what I've been up to. Just like making myself more, how do I call it? Not credible, but competitive for grad school.
Great,
Yeah.
great. So, what did you do to get ready for graduation that helped you when you were graduating in May or even like in your senior year? What were some of the things that you did that you felt like were a good idea and helped you get ready for this time?
That's a great question. I wouldn't say I did a whole lot, but
I think you did.
yeah, there are some things I wish I had done then. Um,
Yeah, we could start there. What are things you wish you
yeah,
did?
good. And the thing I wish I had done then was to really think about what I wanted to do after undergraduate school. I did have some ideas, but they weren't tangible.
Yeah,
So just like, yeah, talking to maybe someone from She like brainstorming some ideas with them, or people in my life, brainstorming some of those ideas with them, and then, they giving me their own advice. And then I'm making those decisions would have really helped me to get into my desired program.
right,
Even, yeah, I did do some of that. I did do some of that. And that's why I applied to the public health, environmental health programs with the help of my mentors. But I don't know if that is like exactly what my heart was calling for. So I felt like I would have like put my options out there and talk to people, and not just people, but also some of the Shikan scholars. That's what I'm doing right now. Jenny is very close with me. We don't live too far away from each other. So we meet often, we talk. I call sometimes, I say, "There's what I'm thinking. What do you think?" Um, Chanel too. Chanel is another person I rely on. Uh, but Jenny of recent has been really that person I talk to a lot because she's
right.
also, yeah, she's also in graduate school. So I'm like, how are you doing it? How are you funding this? Because I didn't know a lot about, the funding options, and everything else. So just like talking to someone about your ideas. Oh, this is what I feel like I want to do. Because it's best to have the plan while you're undergraduate school, and you can start implementing that as well while you're there. Like that can be easy for you to transition. If you want to do 1 year work before you go to graduate school, you know,
Yeah, like
and
you're
then-
doing.
yeah, kind of, yeah, kind of what I'm doing, yeah.
Yeah,
So, or if you want to go straight to graduate school before you go to Liberia, that's another choice. So just like talking to someone about your plans.
really helps. That's great. That's great. So, speaking of graduate school, you gave a little bit of advice. What advice do you have for people considering graduate school? Would you say, like, obviously look a little bit more into like ask your She sisters about how you fund this, and then maybe have a little bit more advice on, or a little bit know about more about what you want to do? Is there anything else, other advice you'd give for scholars looking to get to graduate school?
Huh. I think another thing is a lot of people have great mentors to maybe talk to them because a lot of them might have connections or ideas. I'm so sorry, people. It's about the noise. But
Can't hear the noise. It's fine. You sound great.
okay, good. All right, good. So yeah, I would say those are the main things because there are other Sheikah sisters who have already done it. So yeah, reach
Great.
out to them and ask them. Yeah.
Do you feel like you were stressed out your senior year, worried about graduating?
Oh yeah, very much, 100%.
Did you think you needed to be that stressed out? Or what could help with the stress?
I
Anything?
don't know. I feel like I didn't really have much of a plan to be real with you.
Yeah.
So I think that was one of the one of the things that was stressing me out. And let's see. Yeah, that would be the major thing. And also I was really planning for how to fund the education because that was one thing I had like, oh, I want to go to this area, I want to go to this, but always the question was, how are you gonna fund it? And I didn't have any idea. I'm, learning more about different funding options now, but you know, I wish then I knew. But yeah, I would say not having a really great plan really stressed me out. I would say that,
Okay.
and how to implement the plan. But I am glad that recently I've been taking some how to call it courses, called some leadership courses, just to like help your mindset and stuff uh for success. It's a free course. It's called I know Kid Debut Next Gen. She can check that out for some of the Chicken students.
Yeah, sorry. How are you taking these classes? I missed that.
It's not classes, but like it's a leadership. It's a free leadership program, like Chicken does, that
Okay.
helps that helps young adults think about their life mission, purpose, and what they want to live their life doing, and goals, those kinds of things. Yeah,
Will you
but
do me a favor after the call? Will you send us some of those resources so we can share them?
yeah,
Thank you. That'd be great. Does anybody have any questions they want to ask Myra? Since I'll stop being the one asking all the questions.
Yeah. Um, so Mira, how did you get your job?
okay. The job. I'm glad you asked. Let's see, where did I start from? Let me see. Oh, first of all, I started off with like thinking about what I wanted to do in the next couple of years and the grad school I wanted to go to. And then, but I didn't do that alone. The lady I'm staying with, she knows about the organization. So I talked to her sometimes about, what I wanted to do. And then we came up with an idea of the processes to get there. And then I started looking for jobs that fitted the description. For example, the job I'm doing is like direct patient care related. So, but let's say it was just like checking online at the hospitals I was interested um, in the Lehigh Valley area, and then applying to some of entry level jobs, not like jobs that require a lot of skills because I didn't, no, not because I didn't have a lot of the manager position skills and those kinds of things. So entry level jobs that will give me the clinical experience I need. And also, she can connect me with oh, what's her name? Jessica.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah,
Jessica
she,
Armstrong.
yeah, she was very instrumental too. I applied to both St. Luke's, where she works, and the other hospital, Lehigh Valley Hospital. Even though I didn't get a job at that place, I was able to get a job at Lehigh Valley Hospital. But you know, I she was very instrumental too. She was like apply to multiple, and send me the information. I'll see what I can do and push you forward. But yeah, I would say I just like
Great.
checked and yeah, I just checked the local hospitals here and saw the jobs posting out there, and I applied to majority of them so I can get into any one of my interests. But not anything special. But if you have any specific questions, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Also, how was the OPT process? Like, when did you apply for your OPT, and
Oh
how
yeah,
long
I
to
think you
get
should
it?
apply for it while you are probably in your final year. Not final year, but final semester. I applied for it my final semester, and then it took a couple of months. I got it like in June. So um before June I couldn't do any work. I anyways it was just for like about a month or so. So after I graduated, I wasn't doing much of a work because I couldn't work till I got the OPT. So maybe apply like I don't know in January. But sometimes I think Jenny recommended that I don't know you apply a little later. Um to like, maybe July or June because if you're still figuring out what you want to do, you know. But yeah, that's what I did. I applied earlier, like in the last semester, so that I can be able to get it early and start working. Yeah. But other people would recommend, a different method.
Okay, thank you, Mira.
Yeah.
Anybody else have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. Um, well, I guess senior year is very stressful just because there are so many different directions that you can go to. And this question is for, if Mira want to answer or if Dine or anybody want to answer, feel free to do so. But I think at least with my industry, it's a lot harder just because with the government shutdown and news outlet are very tight right now. Um, and I do not want to go to grad school. I feel like I've done enough school. Um, and so I guess being so worried about not getting a job just because of the job market, it's not like you don't have the skill for it. It's a really tight market. And um, I guess for Mara, when you were a senior, like how did you deal with all the stress?
I'm telling you, I was also very stressed. And it's not like I'm any less stressed. The only problem is, I got a little bit of planning than I did before, but I don't know if you can get rid of the stress. She can might be the best person to answer those, but I mean, like what major did you do, and what are you trying to find job in?
Well, I feel like I could do a lot.
Uh-huh.
Um, I well, my major is photography, with the focus in photojournalism, but I also am a geography minor, so I do love geography.
Okay.
Not physical geography, but like critical geography. And
Uh-huh.
I kind of like geography more than photo right now. I feel like they are like like a connection there. You can do for stories related to geography subjects for sure. Like could go
Uh-huh.
into nonprofit, it could work for news media outlet, could work in the communication teams. I feel like there are options there.
Uh-huh.
It's just I don't know which
Uh-huh.
direction I want to go into. Like I don't want to do spot news, that's for sure. I don't want to, go into a burning building and like covering spot news, that's for
Yeah.
sure. It's just like when you
Mm.
have a few options to choose from, and I
Yeah.
just don't have the self-confidence for it, but I do feel like yeah, I can do
Uh,
stuff, but I wouldn't say that I'm, a special candidate for any of the jobs.
okay. Huh. That's a good way to put it, but yeah, let me think about that. Johnny, you got any answers to that?
Well, I mean, and everyone else can chime in too, but
Yeah.
I just have to say, so everybody, senior year, graduating, it's a really stressful time. And it's a hard time. And it takes a while to find a job, no matter what your major is. I mean, some people will find one right away, but a lot of people don't.
That's
It,
true.
it's And it's also a time, even when you do find a job or go into graduate school or whatever, it takes a while to transition because the pace of work life is different than the pace of school life. And it takes a while to get used to that too. So, so just be patient with yourself, keep lots of options open, keep talking to people, because sometimes the best way that you find, the weirdest way you find a job is through like the random person that you know a lot of times, who just like, hey, I heard about this job opening in this thing, maybe that would work for you. So talk to a lot of different people. At least it keeps you feeling like something's moving when sometimes things aren't. Um, you probably will be graduating into a tougher job market. It's been that way for a while. I don't see it changing that much from now to May or June. So, just be patient with yourself, give yourself some time, find things to do every day that where you connect with other people, connect with friends. A lot of times, like I said, friends and other connections can be the ones that lead you to the job. Um, we're in this, with AI and with the ability to be able to apply online to a lot of places, it also means that you get rejected more. And that's like a terrible feeling, right? It's already hard enough to be, but you can like apply to 600 jobs or something. Like I've heard people apply to hundreds of jobs and like not hear from half of them or get rejected. It's just because now you're allowed to apply a lot more places than maybe you were, 30 years ago because of the internet and other things. So be patient with yourself. Check
Yeah.
in with a lot of
Yeah.
different people. Check in with your She-Can sisters. Check in with your mentors. Keep thinking of creative ways. You're not necessarily going to get your dream job out of college, but sometimes that's okay because you can learn how to work. You can make mistakes in your first job that you wouldn't want to make in your dream job. And sometimes it helps you find what you really like about that job and what you maybe don't like. And that'll lead you on the path to more and more to what you really want to be doing. But realize that too. You don't always get your perfect job out of college, and that's okay, because it's always a chance to like learn a little bit about something, learn a little bit about yourself, learn a little bit about the other people you work with, and that will lead you on to more and more things. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think Diane said that right. For me, I wasn't very great at this. But one of the Chicken sister, Destiny, she's really, really good at this. Um, who whoever is teaching her major, she really like make personal connection with the people because they could have more networks out there or people in those jobs. So even this, I think summer she got an internship from one of the professors who made some connections. I don't know. I think that's what she told me. So I don't know. Maybe people in your major, the professors, they might know a different group of people. Like I don't know everything. Like I said, I'm still figuring mine out as well. But those people could be a good step
That's a good
to
idea, Myra.
get
Your
a meet.
alumni association, so many people love to have other people from their college do
Yeah.
well, like there's a camaraderie there. So join your alumni association the minute that you are out, and tap into them and contact. If you find somebody that went to your college that works in a field you want to work in, contact them and be like, hey, I just graduated from there. Do you want to talk? I mean, I talk to people from my college all the time who just graduated and find me through LinkedIn or whatever and decide to talk, and I can talk about, okay, well, here's what how my career worked and what I did, and you never know. So all those people can be the some of your best connections.
Yeah,
Um,
I was gonna, oh, sorry. Emily, did you want to ask a question?
yeah, so I have a question for the chicken staffs. I know you guys said, I don't know if I got that wrong, but you don't have a lot of connections in Liberia because I'm planning to go home after graduation. My plan was, but this can be discussed with Chicken. Stay here for a year, do my OPT, and go to law school in Liberia. But now that I'm seeing you guys have, and just the year I wanted to stay here was like get some money to help me transition back to Liberia. But the fact that I'm seeing you guys have that opportunity based on what you guys are offering, I might go home right after graduation. So, because law school in Liberia is free compared to
Yeah.
compared to law
Yeah.
school in the US, and I'm not planning to take student loan. So, my mentor and I have been working on that too. Like I was practicing for the LSAT, but we decided not to do it. I'll just do it in Liberia.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah. So I don't know. I also in Liberia, the job market is crazy because I've also been like reaching out to people talking. So as much as I'm going to go to school, I also love to work. And I've been reaching out to a lot of people for what I'm doing, working with NGOs and organizations. It is not looking good. So I'll also be looking up to Shikin to make like to help me with some connections back home to be doing
Yeah,
something. I'm going to school there.
yeah. Yes, we definitely do have connections in Liberia. The one thing is right now there are no graduates there, right? So the network that we're talking about is still to be built in terms of like the graduate network, but we do have a lot of connections to both private and public sector entities. And I think we can definitely help connect you. We have a really great in-country coordinator there who is really active and well connected. So we can definitely support you. And I think there'll be probably a few people in the first year, but not as many as Cambodia quite yet, but because they've had more graduates from Cambodia. But we definitely will be able to support you in Liberia. It'll just be like a growing thing, particularly in the number of graduates, just because there are not as many graduates from Liberia. And thus far, no one has returned, though I do know of at least yourself and like another person who's thinking of returning soon. So we can definitely help you connect in Liberia. And I
Okay,
think
who
if
is
you
the
want to,
new coordinator in Liberia?
sorry,
Who is the Liberian coordinator now?
Fatu Nelson is her name. Fatu Nelson. You can write it in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh wait, let me.
Also, Emily, if you're the first going back, then you're the first that gets all the connections that we do have.
Oops.
So,
I hope
Uh,
so.
yeah, then that's the advantage. There won't be as many Shekan sisters there yet, but you get first dibs on the contacts.
yeah. And I think just in terms of your question, just too, about like how do you handle going back? It sounds, or how do you handle the transition? I think everything Diane said is really valid. And I think with the increase of AI and like AI bots with the application process, those connections and like truly knowing the organization you're applying for, doing your research and like showing up authentically or having a contact through your network is going to be much more valuable now because you will stand out amongst applicants that are potentially AI bots, but you are all real people who have real things to offer. So those connections will be key as you apply. And I think what Mira mentioned too is having a plan will probably help at least with the stress. And having maybe a couple plans is a good idea because you can be exploring a few different options. Not everyone knows where they're going to even people who are from the US that go to college. Often we don't go to college where we're from. So there's always a question of, do I stay here? Or do I go somewhere else? So pursuing options in both places is not a bad idea because that's going to be a really common thing for a lot of other seniors too. Looks like Devorah has a question. Devorah?
Um, Hello, everybody. Yes, I do have a question, and that is returning home. What if you return home and your plan is not like to be traveling back and forth to the US, but you also run a business that requires you to travel a lot because you have to bring in goods and also negotiate with like suppliers as well. Is that allowed with the chicken policy?
You mean like if you were in Liberia but traveling?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we have any um, restrictions around that. The idea is that you become an impactful leader in your home country. So however you do that, and it will have a different shape and for every one of our grads, everyone, we have a wide array of majors and areas of study and fields that people are interested in. So everyone's going to have a different impact. We definitely don't have a certain expectation of how you're going to make positive impact in Liberia. So that's not really part of the expectation. So I think travel obviously is fine. And if that's part of what you're doing, then it is part of what you're doing. So yeah, there's no mandate on our end on that in that sense.
Okay. Thank you, Kate.
Yeah. Should we continue a little bit to get to some of the other slides and then
Yeah, I
maybe
think
take some
so.
more?
I think so. Make sure we're
Yeah, because there might be some more information that's of use.
doing this funky again. Yeah. And we can come back later if there's time. I think that this is you, Sanjana.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Okay, so scholars employment process for fall semester. So, just like we're doing right now, Shekin is going to provide workshops and help on being internship and job ready, which will include reviewing resumes and providing help with your LinkedIn profile. From scholars, what we'll need is for all of you to update your resumes, your career infos, and your bios. So by Friday, December 5th, you've already accomplished the first thing on this, which is to attend the Summer Opportunities Workshop. So next thing would be to respond to the email that's going to be coming tomorrow, which will have your career update form. So complete that and send it back to us, as well as your resume and headshot, and any updates to your bio for the website. For Cambodian and Liberian scholars, if you're interested in having your resume shared with in-country partners during the recruitment trips, please send your resume before November 20th for Cambodian scholars and January 7th for Liberian scholars. For spring semester, Shekan is going to provide spring internship workshops between February and April, as well as send internship and job search emails to our network to find opportunities. By February 4th, Shekan will let scholars know about the situation in regards to travel restrictions for the summer and the summer in the US program. In the spring semester, you'll also have
And
to complete
actually,
up.
quick,
Oh, go ahead.
the make a change application is due February 4th. It's by the end of February. We'll let you know about travel and how, what's going on with that in the summer in the US. So it might not be quite February 4th. It might be the end of February, but we'll let you know.
Yeah. Um, Also complete at least one informational interview with a potential employer back at home. And then please keep Shekin updated on where you apply. We might be able to help you find a connection that could help you get an interview. And the general expectations are to practice professionalism when interviewing and accepting an offer that is through Shekin Connections. And then please contact Shekin in the spring about what your plans are going to be after graduation, and any connections. And then oh, go ahead.
I have a question again. I'm so sorry. I promise this is my last question.
Yeah.
So can I still make a change in the summer even though I'm going home to stay?
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to do a Make a Change project, go ahead. As every year with Make a Change, the priority if there's a million juniors that apply, there's priority for them. But if there's enough money and open in, then we'll consider people in other grades, which pretty much every year that happens where there's more than juniors applying. Although this year we have a really big junior class. So the answer is yes. Please apply.
Okay.
And if we have enough money and et cetera, then we'd love to accept you. So,
Okay, so the scholar internship and work timeline, right now in November, please review the list of internship resources that I sent out last week. Check in at your college career center about internship fairs, funding, and the work authorization process, and work with your internship and employment mentors to help you plan for the summer. Between now and next month, please complete the annual career update form that's going to be sent out tomorrow, as well as the bio revision, the resume, and the headshot. And please try to get that in by December 5th. Between December and January, you're going to work with your mentors to consider some opportunities, as well as make sure your resume and your LinkedIn profiles are up to date. In February, an internship email is going to be sent out to the Shekan network, and Shekan will pass opportunities to scholars for follow-up. And like mentioned before, the Make a Change proposal deadline is February 3rd. Between February and May, scholars are going to work on making connections as well as getting help at campus career centers to secure your internship and job opportunities. And once you have your summer plan secured, please let Shekan know what your plans are and what you plan to do. If you plan to go home for the summer, please reach out to Shekan for connections. and planning for SheCan commencement in June. And then in the spring, February through March, SheCan is going to host webinars on how to be ready for, how to find and how to be successful at your internships. In June 2026, you're going to participate in the SheCan virtual graduation ceremony. And then in summer 2026, you're going to have an amazing experience wherever you end up.
Okay, I wanted to get to this slide because I know you probably all have some questions about it. And while SheCan is not the experts because we're not immigration lawyers, nor are we or schools, we can give you some basic information around how the OPT visa works. But you definitely need to be talking to your ISS office to get the forms and to take the steps to get your OPT visa. And Mira might be able to speak to this more. But for any internships or jobs in the US, you must be approved with a work authorization to be able to stay. Once you graduate, you have 60 days before you need to leave the country unless you apply for OPT. So that's something to keep into consideration. If you are planning on returning home this coming summer, you have 60 days that you can still be in the US legally, and then you need to leave. So the other thing to keep in consideration is the jobs that you apply to must be related to your field of study in order to qualify for OPT authorization. And OPT is specific to F1, which I think, well, the majority of our scholars are on F1 visas. If you're on a J1, it's called academic training. So just be aware that there's a difference in terminology depending on your visa. We often refer to OPT, as I said, because most of you are on F1 visas. And it doesn't matter whether it's paid or unpaid internship. I know most of you are not looking for unpaid, but even if you're doing an unpaid anything, it does need to be authorized through OPT. Otherwise, once you're past those 60 days, you're in the US illegally, and we don't want that. So applying for OPT is a two-step process. And as I said, you should do the application within 60 days of graduation. As Mira said, you can do it earlier, but just be aware that once you apply, once they give you OPT, you then have 90 days to find a job. So you don't want to apply to OPT, for example, in March, because it will probably be difficult to apply and find a job before graduation. So you want to think about that in terms of when will I be able to really start looking for work, if you have finals, etc. So you probably want to apply for OPT as soon as graduation is done so that you get it started. But then once you have it, you'll have 90 days to find work. The other thing to think about, and I think Emily mentioned this a bit, if you want to make a change in your home country and then return for OPT, you can do that, but you still need a valid F1 entry visa. So if you were planning, for example, to make a change this summer for 8 weeks and then come back to start a OPT job in August, that is possible, but you will need to renew your F1 visa when you're in your home country. And as you all know, there are still concerns about international student visas. And we've seen some delays in issuing of entry visa renewals. This is something that I would recommend you talk with your ISS office about. It's very hard for us or anyone to know what may or may not happen in the next 6 months about international student visas, but we're just advising caution when leaving the country without a valid reentry visa because we don't know what might be implemented. So it's something to think about if you're thinking of going home or to any other country for that matter. If you're leaving the US and then want to come back for OPT, you will need to have a valid F1 entry visa in order to return for your OPT. It looks like we have a question, so maybe I'll stop there. Yeah, Deborah?
Yeah, I do have a question in terms of the visa renewal. My visa is expired, and I was planning to go back home in like probably December or like the spring to renew my visa because I love to travel and I don't think I can stay in the US all throughout without having like a valid visa. So I was wondering if it is possible that I can go to Liberia like in December or like in the spring to renew my visa and then return, I know like working with the consulate this gone summer, we had a lot of cases where students were being sent back home based on like this whole restriction on immigration and visa policy. So I don't.
Mhm. That's interesting. I would be interested to know more of what you saw. And that's why we're still strongly cautioning people from returning home if you don't have a valid entry visa, especially because you're very close to graduation. Obviously, the worst case scenario would be that you would not be able to return and finish your degree, which would be very unfortunate. But I know there's different stories, and we have no official policy. Liberia and Cambodia were both mentioned by the Trump administration in the proposed orange level of possibly having restrictions, but that was last April and nothing has been published since then. And what was published was not official. It was just a like draft document. So again, we cannot know what restrictions may be put in place or if there'll be other types of delays. It sounds like you might have seen firsthand from your consulate work the repercussions, but it's definitely something for you to consider and weigh. I think it is good to talk to your ISS office as well, because they will be working with a lot of international students and might have more of a feel for whether there are problems or not. But it's really hard for us to know. And that's why we're just strongly urging people to be cautious. I'm sorry, I don't have a better answer. And it's a really unfortunate time. I know.
I also think, you know, if you only have like a month or 5 weeks to go home, the more time you have, the more chance you have of getting through all the hoops you need to get through. So I think going home for the summer would be probably better than going over the break. Because you are supposed to be back in the US for leadership training. You know, all these things are happening this year. So I would be really nervous about going home for a short amount of time. Like we say, at least a month you should be home, but now in this crazy world we're in right now, it might be longer is better. So I
Yeah.
think it'd be riskier the shorter amount of time you're home to think you can do the turnaround and get all the paperwork.
Yeah, I agree, Diane. And we also have seen delays in visas this last summer that it took people like 6 weeks to get their renewal. And that was in Guatemala, which had no restrictions placed on it. But every single one of our Guatemalan scholars that were in Guatemala had delays getting their renewal. And
Kim
they
Hitt
were all
has
there
her
for a
hand up.
few times. Okay.
Kim Hitt, did you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. I could be wrong, but in September, I think my international office sent out an email that says that um the departure period after completing an F1 program is reduced from 60 days to 30 days.
You
So
might be right.
you might be
Yeah,
able to
thanks
check.
for flagging that. Yeah, we can check. This is why I said we are not the experts, so you should definitely talk with your ISS office. Thank you, Komet, for mentioning that. So I will look to update this before we share. I'll need to double check, but that's if the ISS office said that, then that's probably what it is now. Should
Yeah.
we, Deborah? Yeah, did you want to follow up on the previous?
Yeah, I do have a follow-up question on visa again.
Mhm.
But this is like for my parents. So my graduation in May, my parents are trying to like come over. So I don't know if this is something that Chicken could help with, like in a sense, like do I need to get a letter from Chicken and at the same time get an invitation for my school? Because like I have started talking to my school already to get an invitation for them.
Yeah.
So in 5 for
I
that.
think, yeah, if you could, Deborah, that's really nice. That's really great. I hope they can come. And if you could write an email to program@shecan.global, we have written, you do need the official invitation, but we have written letters of support for other graduating seniors or other scholars that are looking to have family visit, which I think is just like additional. I'm sure it doesn't change anything particularly, but it's helpful sometimes. So we're happy to provide a letter to that end. So you can write us at program and we can work with you to get you a letter.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah. No problem.
I have a follow-up question on that. Have you guys had students requesting for letter and how early they started like requesting for that letter? Like if you want your family to come for your graduation, how early do you guys think you have to start getting letter from Shiken, your school, and the invitation?
I think we did it last year and it was, I can't remember the exact month. It was in spring semester. I think if you can check, the visa process for your parents and like if there's any timelines associated. But really, if you'd make the request, maybe like beginning of the new year in January, that's a good time because then we can just get it done and you have it when you need it.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Should we?
Move forward. I know we're a little bit past time. Hopefully you guys can stay on a tiny bit longer and we'll go kind of quickly through this, and because a lot of this we cover every year when we do these workshops, so you've probably seen some of this before. Um, you know, have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C about working, especially this year when so many things are up in the air about travel and visas and things like that. And use as many resources as possible to search for your job. So again, like go to your alumni association, go to your ISS office, go to your mentors, go to your connections, go to Shikan, whatever you can do to put together as many resources as possible. Do find ways to stand out, have a great cover letter, or to tell them why they should pick you. If you know people, connect through them at the organization, and it's okay to keep emailing them multiple times to say, hey, how's it going? Have you gotten my resume? Are you considering people? And thank you notes, as you already know, are like a big thing, especially in the US. So be sure to write a thank you note after an interview anytime that you do. And then quickly, you want to do well in your interview. So I would practice, do one with your, with your internship mentor, another mentor, with friends, etc. Practice speaking to your strengths and why you're interested in the specific job. And then come to that interview with lots of questions for them related to the organization and the job itself. Or you can even, like, I've had people go and like research me and ask me questions that had to do with my personal like career path or something like that. So things like that are just show that you've done your homework and you really are interested in the position. And then I think Myra already told us OPT restrictions can delay the start time. So figure out the right timing for you to apply for that. And keep in close contact with the ISS office, really, especially at these times. It seems like a lot of things are changing and they are the ones that are going to know first. And some tips from previous years from other folks. If you have skills, if you have 70% of the skills listed in the job, then go for it. Like, don't let it stop you because you don't have one of the skills they list. That's a thing a lot of people do, and they say that women do it more than men. Even the men are just like, hey, let's go do it. So be like the guys and just say, I'm going to be great for this job, even though I don't have everything they're listing. Everyone has a brand, and brands require authenticity. So look at success through the eyes of your stakeholders. What is it that you've done that sets you apart and that makes you, different, or that's your strengths, and be sure to bring that with you. And then, again, we've already kind of talked about this. Stand out and attract attention, talk to different people, find ways to differentiate yourself from the rest of the competition, maybe even by just connections or by something specific that you've done that's different. Make a change. Again, you guys have probably heard about this over the years. While we do give preference to juniors, we have had people of all years apply for and make a change projects. It depends on how much funding that we get every year as to how many projects we will do. And it also depends on whether or not people can return home, because this year we had a lot of projects approved, but only a few of them could actually return home. So some of those projects have been put on delay, and we will accept them this year if they're able to go home. So the big kind of elephant in the room is like, can you go home over the summer given the visa situation? So that still remains a factor. But we're going to send out the applications like tomorrow with the email. You can apply now through February 3rd. We'll have some workshops on, how to do your application and how to think about your program and what you want to do, etc. But really, like, think about what you're interested in, research what's needed in your country, come up with an idea, work with your mentors to put together a project proposal. And what's different this year is we're going to make sure that your flights are covered no matter what, but then you also have $2,500 just for the project, and not with your flight money included, because it kind of ended up feeling unfair, because if you live somewhere that had higher flights, you're getting less for your project. So anyway, we're now kind of separating that out. 29 scholars have gotten completed projects so far since 2022, and usually projects can range anywhere from, it could be less than the 2,500, 2K, or it could be up to 12K, and you might get funding from outside sources. So quick overview on that. If you have more questions about that, feel free to contact me. And as I mentioned, application will come out tomorrow, really, November 20th. I keep meaning to change this. That date's wrong. It's really November 3rd. You can start applying. And there's going to be information sessions, like I mentioned. The deadline is February 3rd. We are strict on that deadline. You have to have it in by midnight, our time, Pacific time, on February 3rd. No late applications are accepted. We usually announce the recipients by the 26th. Then you book your flights. Then you do your projects over the summer. At the end of the summer, you're going to do a project wrap up and evaluations, and you look at the final expenses. And then we might have a showcase event, or sometimes we'll find other ways for you to share your project's impact with the sponsors and the SheCan community, maybe through a film or something like that. Or by film, I just mean a video. So quickly, next steps are that we're going to send out that recording we've been talking about of this workshop with the slides, along with additional resources on internships. And we're also going to send out that career update email, and you'll send information back to Sanjana by, what did we say, December 5th. And think about the types of companies or organizations you want to work for over the summer, or whether you want to do a Make a Change, or if we do the Summer in the US program, which I think we might, again, you might consider that as well. We'll have more information about that as time goes on. Think about where you can realistically work. Again, you got to do something that's in line with your major, and be sure to keep in touch with International Student Services on campus for how to apply, what the new rules are, etc. I kind of did all that very quickly. Is there any questions about any of that?